Food matters. Yes, it does. And I have 5 food facts that I'm going to talk about today that show how important food is. I'm calling them ingestion suggestions, which I think is quite catchy, don't you? My friend gave that to me. So, number 1, food matters. We're led to believe that it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you eat. And that simply is not true. If you're eating a lot of processed foods or ready meals, you're not nourishing your body. If, for example, you're eating, I don't know, chips and ice cream all day long, the next day, you're not going to feel well. You might not feel well that night. And there's a variety of ways you might not feel well. You might have achy joints. Your tummy might be a little bit queasy. That's almost a given. And you might have a headache. And you're going to say, ooh, I don't feel well. Well, go figure. Of course you don't feel well because you haven't nourished your body. Because food matters. Number 2, calories don't matter. Another thing we've been led to believe is that we should aim for a certain number of calories each day. And if we do and we don't go over that, we should be able to maintain our weight. And if calories in and calories out balance, we will be able to maintain the weight. Not true, because a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie. All these calories are different. Again, if you're eating chips and ice cream all day long and they're the only calories you're getting, you're going to use up all your calories in a really short period of time, and you've not nourished your body again. So I do have one example of this where people think that calories are important. I make a probiotic yogurt with L-reuteri in it, and I am going to talk about that on another video, but right now I make it and people like it and they want to buy it from me, so I will sell it to them. And I was working with a woman who had asked me various questions and who was interested in buying the yogurt, and then she said to me, well, how many calories are in it? And I said, I don't know. I don't need to know. It doesn't matter how many calories are in it. It's made with half and half organic cream. So it's not going to be light on calories. But they're calories that are going to nourish your body. It doesn't matter. Unlike the chips and ice cream with no nourishment, this yogurt has got a lot of goodness in it. So calories really don't matter. Number 3, how you eat matters. Now, I will be honest, I do quite regularly run out the door with a piece of cheese or a boiled egg or something like that, eating on the go, because I've got somewhere to go and I don't have time to sit down and eat. But whenever possible, I think it's really good to sit down at the table, set the table, lay the table, whichever terminology you use, with your knife and your fork and your plate, and maybe a vase with a couple of flowers in it to make it look nice, and eat your meal there. Even if you're on your own, eat your meal there. Savor that meal. Eat it slowly and chew it well. Your body will thank you for that, because where you eat and how you eat matters. Number 4, when you eat matters. I have talked about this before. I talked about it in my last video at more length about intermittent fasting. And I'm not really even talking about intermittent fasting right now, although it is good, and I do that on a regular basis, eating in a 6-hour window. But if you're eating a lot during the day, one of the things you could do right off the bat is get rid of the snacks. so that you're just down to 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you'll start to be ahead of the game, because then you've got several hours in between those meals, and it gives your body a time to repair and maintain. And if that works out okay for you, then the next thing you could do is maybe go to a 12-hour window, where your window closes at 7 o'clock at night and opens again at 7 o'clock in the morning. And in that way, most of those hours you're probably going to be asleep. So that's not hard to do either. If you can do those two things, I think you're way ahead of the game of which one are we on? When you eat, you're ahead of the game, and you're going to see results just from those two changes. And they're not massive changes in your life, because when you eat really does matter. Okay, number 5, what you eat matters. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. I've given some hints already about this particular ingestion suggestion, and some of it is somewhat controversial. I'm going to talk about foods that we've basically been told are bad for us. Our bodies need fat. Our brains need fat. But we've been told probably over the last 50 years that fat is bad for us. So we've been given low-fat milk, low-fat yogurt, low-fat just about everything. But there's one big problem with this low-fat craze, as I might call it. It doesn't taste very good. So that to make it palatable to you, they put sugar in it. Now, I don't know about you, but I try to limit the amount of sugar I eat. And sometimes if you're eating these low-fat foods, you may be eating a lot more sugar than you think you are. So the issue is here that we've been eating low fat for nearly 50 years. And during that 50 years, the incidence and the amount of obese people has grown exponentially, completely out of hand. And we're eating low-fat diets. So what does that mean? It actually doesn't make any sense, does it? Could it be the sugar that's in the low-fat food? I don't know. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. But the fact that obesity has risen out of all proportion over the last 50 years, coincidentally at the same time that we've been encouraged to eat low-fat foods, well, it makes you think. So I eat butter, I eat lard, and I eat tallow. I use it in my cooking, and I eat it pretty much every day. I also eat eggs. I mentioned that on one of my shorts. I eat the whole thing. And that's another thing we used to do, it's not as common now, is eat the egg white and not the yolk. Seriously, you're throwing out the best part of the egg. An egg is a complete nutrition bundle all on its own. But eggs were demonized along with other fats. So we've talked about fat and we've talked about eggs. I was going to tell you what I eat in a given day, but I've basically changed that and decided to tell you what I don't eat. What I don't eat, for the most part, is processed foods. And I definitely don't ever eat ultra-processed foods. So that leaves you with whole foods. and that's what I eat. So I am a meat eater, so I will eat chicken, beef, lamb, fish, cheese, same thing, really. It's not a meat, but it's a protein. And I eat a good variety of vegetables at most meals. I usually stir fry them and I put a balsamic olive oil dressing on them. And that's about it. So, along with the snacks of cheese and eggs, that's what I eat with maybe a little bit of fruit. So, it's not hard to eat this way. And yeah, you're gonna cheat now and then, but that's okay because as long as the bulk of what you're eating is whole, fresh foods, then you are winning the game because what you eat matters. Now, before I continue, I'm just going to say a little disclaimer. I probably should have said it earlier on, but I just want to say that, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a nutritionist, I have no medical designation whatsoever. I am just a person who's done a lot of research on food and the ways to eat and the way to get the best for your body. If you're not feeling well, if you're not sure about following this kind of a diet, I would suggest that you talk to your doctor. So, my name is Linda, and I am very, very happy that you have stayed with me until the end of this video. If you have enjoyed it, if you have got something out of it, I would ask that you like, share, and subscribe. It really helps. And I am 76. I'm a leading edge baby boomer, and I'm not done yet.